in patients.
Right, it's a sedative.
This is a sedative.
So if we are at a level, a particular blood level, where a patient is not responsive to painful stimulus, that patient's asleep. Is that right?
That is, I would agree with that.
So based on your lorazepam analysis, 4 milligrams, 10 shots, by the 5th shot, the patient has exceeded your painful stimulus line.
That's correct.
And as we keep going in your simulation,
Yes.
we reach a point where even at all points in time after the 7th shot, we're above that painful stimulus line.
That is correct in this simulation.
So you would agree with me that based on your simulation, the patient, in this case, let's say Michael Jackson, under this scenario, would be asleep from 2:30 to at least 11:30.
No, I would not agree with that.
Would he be responsive to painful stimulus during that time?
Because he's been exposed to benzodiazepines potentially every night for 80 days, I actually do not know. His exposure, benzodiazepines are associated with tolerance, and his exposure to continued to doses of benzodiazepine every night for 80 days makes it almost impossible to project what his response would be to a benzodiazepine concentration of 0.3.
Is it your testimony that you believe, based on Dr. Murray's statement, that Michael Jackson received benzodiazepines for 80 days? Is that what Dr. Murray said?
Dr. Murray said he'd been using benzodiazepines for a period of time prior to this, and I'd have to review the details, which I'm happy to do for you. I believe it had been going on for at least a month, and I can easily find out by going through the drug shipment records, which I have on my laptop, if you'd like me to.
Well, drug shipment doesn't mean drug usage every day.
I have no medical records. I have limited access to knowing what actually happened.
So since you have no medical records, you made that assumption?
What assumption?
That since you have no medical records, you made the assumption that that Dr. Murray gave Michael Jackson lorazepam for 80 days?
I have Dr. Murray's testimony that he's been using lorazepam and midazolam. And as we have established, without medical records, it is very difficult to know what he did. It looks... Let me actually pull up his testimony and see what he says about it.
You mean the state?
Let me pull up his statement. Let me pull up his statement and see what he actually says. I'm happy to do that for you.
That is if you want. Mr.
If you'd like me to.
It would. The statements and evidence, the jury has it. You don't need to do that. He doesn't need to do that.
Then you can ask your question.
Let me ask you this question. Mm-hmm. What significance does 40 milligrams have to you?
I limited the dose to an ampule, simply because an ampule was found. As I've mentioned, there are many possible dosing regimens one could use to get that level, but it seemed reasonable to limit it to one ampule.
Were you assuming that Dr. Murray used an entire ampule?
No, I'm simply showing that one can get to the level with repeated doses of drug, but not with the 4 milligrams that Dr. Murray claims to have given. That is not correct.
Actually, that's not what your report says, is it? Let me go to. I'll direct you.
Mm-hmm.
Page 15 is your lorazepam simulations.
I see it.
On the page, the last sentence, Murray, you said, did not give Jackson 4 milligrams of lorazepam, you said, right?
Correct.
The data suggest a far higher dose,
Correct.
possibly an entire 40 milligram vial of lorazepam.
Correct.
That's what your report says.
Correct.
Are you saying now that you merely showed the jury this simulation because it's a possibility? Is that
I stand by the statement as it states here. A far higher dose, possibly an entire 40 milligrams. I stand by that statement.
Why did you take off the not responsive to painful stimulus line yesterday?
I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for the jury to see the graphs. There's no particular...
Thought the jury would have...
Wait. There's no particular, what?
You thought the jury would have difficulty understanding a line like that?
These are complex graphs, and I'm trying to explain to the jury rather complex pharmacology. But there's no other agenda, as you are alleging.
No, I'm just asking questions.
Counsel's testifying. Motion to strike.
Well, again, statements are not questions. We'll have another one, though, right now. Thank you.
In your analysis, you did not take into consideration, once again, with regard to dose, as you worked backwards, you did not simulate anything to do with oral lorazepam.
Not in this analysis.
I assume you prepared for the prosecution an analysis on oral lorazepam.
I have looked at oral lorazepam for prosecution, yes.
Why don't you help us to understand how oral lorazepam works? It goes, using your pharmacokinetic, co-kinetic, let's say you swallow a 2 milligram pill, it goes down your throat, and where does it go?
Into your stomach.
What does it do?
The tablet will dissolve over time.
How much time?
The actual half-life of absorption, according to Greenblatt, is about 22 minutes.
So half-life means that half the pill is absorbed in 22 minutes.
That is correct.
Okay.
There's actually a lag time, but we can talk that. We can leave the lag time out for our purposes.
And then where does it go? What
The
happens?
pill then goes to the liver.
All right. And the liver, I guess, is subject to first pass.
Correct.
So the lorazepam doesn't work, or it's not. The oral bioavailability is what?
About 92%.
All right. Then what?
Then it
happens?
goes into the bloodstream.
Okay.
It follows what's called the model that Greenblatt has used is a two-compartment model, which involves both a rapid and a slow phase. So it circulates it distributes into multiple body tissues, although the body can be thought of as just having two tissues, a small tank and a bigger tank. It then also diffuses across the blood-brain barrier into the brain to exert its effect. And as we've talked about, the lorazepam glucuronide, 25% of that gets deposited back into the stomach, back into the bile, where it goes into the small and large intestines.
So just like intravenous lorazepam, the metabolite for oral lorazepam is glucuronide, or whatever, however you pronounce it. Is that
Yes,
right?
That is correct. Glucuronidated.
And perhaps it sloshes back into the stomach.
That's correct. Not perhaps, it does.
It does.
It does.
Can I have a second, Judge? I have to get
You
some-
may, please.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to use this. Do you have just one second, Judge? I'm sorry about about this.
Okay.
Is it BBB? Is that how we're doing it? Okay. Triple B.
Triple Bravo.
May I see this?
Oh, sorry about that.
Exhibit is being viewed by the prosecutors.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as BBB. What we've done. Hold on a second. I'm going to make it easy.
That's fine.
I'm going to make this CCC, Judge. This new one, CCC.
Help me out, help me out, help me out. Is there a triple B?
There is, and I'm going to use it.
Okay, you have another exhibit, Triple
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
This is actually another simulation that you did, in this case for lorazepam.
Yes?
This is a simulation based on what Dr. Murray said he gave.
Correct.
And it shows a 2 o'clock injection and a 5 o'clock injection.
Correct.
This is BBB, defense BBB. What we've done here might be obvious to you, but let me describe it. We've added your simulation to the simulation did for Dr. Murray's testimony.
Yes.
Right?
Dr. Murray's
Statement. Got it. Sorry
Is that
about
correct?
that.
Yes, that's correct.
One of the things that you said yesterday during testimony is that it takes that you believed you could prove that Michael Jackson could not have taken any oral lorazepam for 4 hours. Is that what you said?
Based on the amount of lorazepam, that was 1/250th of a tablet. Actual lorazepam found in his stomach, 1/250th of a tablet, that is correct.
And you're basing it on the half-life of dissolved lorazepam tablets.
Yes, taking 16 milligrams and a amount of lorazepam in the stomach of 0.08. I did that in the courtroom, but I then checked my math, and it works out to 4 hours.
And that's how you got the 4 hours, based
That's how I got
on
the 4 hours.
the dissolved lorazepam.
Correct.
Now-
16 milligrams would go to 0.008 milligrams of lorazepam
Yeah.
in 4 hours.
Now, when you talk about half-life you're not talking about the tablet dissolving itself, you're talking about the amount of lorazepam, oral lorazepam, that stays in the stomach. Is that right?
That's correct. This is based on the absorption half-life.
So the 4 hours prior to his death, noon,
Yes.
you're saying that if he were to consume oral lorazepam, it had to have been before 8 a.m.
Based just on the 0.008 number and ignoring the fact that that number is in equilibration with the plasma, yes.
All right. You also did a midazolam simulation,
That is correct.
and I believe your testimony was that it equates to what Dr. Murray said he gave Michael Jackson?
It seemed to be, let me just pull it up, but it seemed to me that that was not likely to be contributory.
Are there oral versions of midazolam available in the United States?
Not that I recall.
And the simulation that you performed in the midazolam, the only simulation you performed was you actually, in that case, you went and took Dr. Murray's dose to determine what the concentration would be, right?
Correct.
And the concentration equated, right?
Correct.
All right, let's go on to propofol.
Yes.
All right? This is propofol, 25 milligrams, it's titled. It's Exhibit DDD, Judge. David.
Triple
David.
delta. Thank you.
This is a simulation that I need Dr. Murray's simulation. It's a simulation that you created, is that right?
That's correct.
And what you did is you took 25 milligrams of propofol, injected, right?
Yes.
And
Simulated.
and then drew the graph based on that dosage to determine concentration over time.
Correct.
Pharmacokinetics,
Correct.
right? In its purest form, right?
I don't know what that means.
Well, you used your computer program to do this graph, is that right?
Yes.
All right. Now, in this example, well, let me show you. Shafer.
No problem. Take your time. I'm working here too.
Let me show you Defense Exhibit EEE.
Triple echo.
This is EEE.
That's,
All right. What is this a simulation of?
this is a simulation I did for Professor White a couple days ago.
Thank you for that.
Glad to do it.
Can you describe what this is?
This is, Dr. White wanted to know what it would look like over 5 minutes, and I'm happy to do it. That's what this shows.
Over.
This is the plasma and effect site concentrations over 5 minutes. Sorry, this is 2.5 cc's, 25 milligrams distributed over 5 minutes rather than distributed over 1 minute as a bolus.
And let me show you DDD again.
Yes?
This is you prepared this for the prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
And what does this show?
That's given as a bolus.
And what? And
25 milligrams given at time 0.
all right, and the bolus then is injected immediately.
Correct. It's all just simply given by intravenous push.
I believe you even clap to show
Correct.
just right in, right?
Yep. Yes.
This EEE represents over 5 minutes.
That is correct.
Now, you're familiar, in this particular exhibit, EEE, Triple E, you understand the reason we were asking is because it was based on the statement that Dr. Murray made to the police.
I understand that.
He told the police that he injected the 25 over 3 to 5 minutes.
I understand that.
This, which is what you presented to the prosecution, with the prosecution, is 25 milligrams immediately pushed in, right?
That is correct.
And you do this in the operating room all the time, right?
Yes.
You push it in.
Usually.
What do you mean usually?
It depends if I'm running an infusion or inducing anesthesia. When I induce anesthesia, I usually give the propofol typically over about 2 minutes. I don't know if you would consider giving 10 cc's of propofol over 2 minutes push or infusion. It's something that actually I learned from Dr. White, which is that if you give it over about 2 minutes, the patients have less pain on injection.
Well, the AstraZeneca FDA insert discusses how long it should take you to provide the patient a bolus, doesn't it?
I wrote that section, and that's for sedation, not for induction of anesthesia.
All right. Well, how long?
3 to 5 minutes.
For what?
For the dose of 0.5 milligrams per kilogram should be given over 3 to 5 minutes, and that's for my work.
Is that for sedation or anesthesia?
For sedation.
Thank you.
For sedation.
And for anesthesia, you'll do it over 2 minutes.
For anesthesia, I will more likely do it over 2 minutes, yes.
And one of the reasons, and this, by the way, the FDA insert that we're talking about, it's the same insert for Teva. Teva's brand of propofol, right? And Hospira, right?
With the small exception that there is it's sulfite. The ones that have sulfite have a warning that's not on the label of Diprivan. With that exception, they are the same package inserts.
So you're familiar with why this is suggested, the slow infusion over 3 to 5 minutes?
I'm very familiar with why it is, yes.
And why is it?
The Food and Drug Administration in 1991 wanted sedation to start with an infusion. And at that point in time, this is a confusing simulation, but I simulated...
Well, if you, rather than talking about a graph, if you can just testify.
I was of the belief that clinicians, when they gave a bolus of drug like that, they knew there would be a delay until the patient responded, and you had to wait for that delay. There was also a delay with an infusion, but 20 years ago, I believed my clinical colleagues were not so conscious of the delay when you give an infusion, and that they would keep the drug running as an infusion until they saw the drug effect they wanted. The difficulty is the infusion sets you on a trajectory, just like the bolus. The trajectory means when you stop giving the drug, the patient continues to have the levels of drug in the brain rise. And I was concerned that if the infusion was too fast, they would keep it running until the patient was sedated. And then, when they stop the infusion for the sedation, to start the sedation, the patient would continue to get more deeply sedated than intended. I prepared an analysis that contrasted the duration of the infusion, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, with the overshoot that you would get if you ran your infusion until you saw the patient sedated. And 3 minutes was the right balance. 3 to 5 minutes was the right balance between minimizing the overshoot that you will get if you run the infusion until you see the desired level of sedation. So it was actually a rather nuanced reason that 3 to 5 minutes was picked.
And you're saying that the reason it was picked is because you decided it was a good idea? Is it your idea, the 3 to 5 minutes? Is that what you're saying?
This was a dialogue between myself, Curtis Wright at the Food and Drug Administration and his team, David Goodell and his team at AstraZeneca, and, of course, with Don Stansky. This was a collaboration. It wasn't just some idea, but I did this. I proposed the framework. These were the questions that had to be balanced, and then I did the simulations, which allowed us to come up with that 3 to 5 minutes.
The danger of rapid infusion of bolus is apnea.
Say again.
The danger of a rapid infusion of a bolus is apnea, right?
Yes, yes.
As you rapidly infuse, we have, even with 25 milligrams, a high level.
That's the blood. It's irrelevant. You have to look at the red line, which is the brain.
And by the way, let's talk about the brain for a second.
Sure.
What was Michael Jackson's brain propofol concentration in this case?
I do not know that there was a brain concentration, but but the simulations permit us to understand the effect site levels.
Dr. Shafer, I'm not asking about your simulations. I'm asking, what did the coroner say is his brain propofol levels?
I would need to look at the coroner's report to see that.
Please do.
And while Dr. Chaff's doing that, may I see counsel? Thank you. There's a pending question, and Dr. White, did you have a chance to review your, I'm sorry, Dr. Shafer, did you have a chance to review your materials?
Yes, what was, can we restate the question that was placed? Yes, I have.
Mr. Chernoff?
Yes, Judge.
There was a pending question, and Dr. Shafer was taking a look at his materials. Do you remember the question, or do you want Mrs. Theodore to read back the question?
Please read back the question. I don't remember.
I'm not asking about your simulations. I'm asking what did the coroner say was his brain propofol level?
I do not find a measurement of the propofol level in the brain in the coroner's report.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take the evening recess and the weekend adjournment at this time. And Dr. Shafer, thank you. You may step down. You'll be able to retrieve your materials in just a moment. Thank you. Don't discuss your testimony or the facts of the case with any other witness until we finish the trial. And while you may step down and take the evening and weekend recess and adjournment, you are ordered back at 8:45 a.m. this coming Monday. Is that okay, sir? Thank you. You may step down right now. Thank you. Just in the back. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the law requires that at every adjournment, which means at the end of every day, I deliver this admonition to you. It is required by law, and it's extremely important. Please do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else, or form or express any opinions about the case until it is submitted finally to you. Do not visit any location or scene that may have been referenced or mentioned in this case. Don't perform any experiments, or on your own or through another person, conduct any independent research or investigation on any topics, subjects, or persons mentioned or involved in the case. Do not come into contact or access any television or radio programs, newspaper or magazine articles, books, or the Internet regarding any of these topics. Do not, on your own or through another person, access any Internet websites, including but not limited to any search engine sites such as Google, Ask, or Bing, or social network sites, including but not limited to Facebook or MySpace. There seems to be some controversy about whether MySpace still exists, but I am led to believe it does. So that is why I inform you of this fact, and there may be some in the universe who say that MySpace no longer exists. If it doesn't, that's fine. If you use MySpace, so much the better, but not with reference to this case. Don't text or tweet anything about this case, or access any blogs or messages, or post any messages on any of those electronic media on any issues or topics or subjects mentioned or involved in the case. Do not have any contact or communication whatsoever with the defendant, the attorneys, the witnesses, or spectators. If anybody tries to contact you or communicate with you about any aspects of this case, immediately cease any encounter. Don't allow anybody to talk to you about this case or to provide you with any contact information through a business card or any other way, so that at a later point in time you can contact any person or organization regarding this case. All right. Do you understand and continue to promise us you will comply with these orders? Yes. All right. Thank you. Please have a wonderful weekend, and please be prepared to come back so that we can resume testimony at 8:45 a.m. this coming Monday. I wish all of you a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Good evening.